Now we're going to rate a few teams' spine. Now the spine is fullback, the halves, and the dummy half.
Well, we've got a spine here.
It's not bad.
Hey?
It wouldn't be bad.
I'm not sure.
I don't know how we get on the salary cap. We have to play for the Roosters.
Give me the ball, give me the ball.
Now, boys, we're going to rate them out of 10.
Yeah.
A 10 is once-in-a-generation player. A 9, it's an elite player. An 8, a great club player. A 7 is a good club player. A 6 is a rookie or a veteran. Coming to the end.
Rookie.
Let's go straight into the Storm. Now, I've got Pappenhausen an 8 out of 10, Munster 10, Jerome Hughes a 9, and Harry Grant at 10, which pretty much sums up their big game players.
Yeah, I think they've got the best spine in the game. I've got all 9s except Cameron Munster, a 9.5. I think he's done that a little bit more than the rest of them. But, geez, there's some quality there, isn't there?
I don't think Harry's a 10. I think he's the best hooker that I've seen in a long time. I still reckon we can find there's something else, I think. He made a massive difference last year, but they didn't get the result. I think he made the 2, scored the try, and made the only other break pretty much in the game for the Melbourne Storm. So
Interesting. You went 9 for Pappenhausen,
Yeah.
where we all went 8.
Yeah, I think injuries have certainly held him back. First grand final he played, he was the Clive Churchill medalist. I think he's an elite player. So that was the criteria.
Yeah, I had him as an 8. I would have had him as a 9 if not for the injuries over the last couple of years. I think he's just spent a fair bit of time out of the game. But 9's for the other 3 as well.
It just goes to show big games are hard to beat. What about the Broncos? I've got Reece Walsh an 8, Ben Hunt an 8, Adam Reynolds an 8, and Billy Walters a 7.
well, I'm the same with the 2 older boys, Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds. I think they would have been 9s in there when they were a bit younger.
Yep, agree.
2 really influential players. It'll be interesting how they roll that, use their age, their wisdom. But Reece Walsh, I got him as a 9, and
Even at
he'll
this
be a
stage of his
10.
career?
He's a gun.
Oh, we know he's going to
Yeah.
be. But this stage, you rate him a 9?
Yeah, I think he's an elite player. I think he makes a difference. You take him out of the team and there's a huge difference in their chances. Ben Hunt as well, just doing it at representative level, I think he's an elite player as well.
What about you, Cameron?
Yeah, well, I went 8.5 for Reece. I just think if he brings that little bit of consistency to his game, there's no doubt he's got elite parts of his football. Particularly, we all know about his speed and how dangerous he is on those sweeping plays out the back. But I think if he brings a little bit more consistency, I'd give him a 9. Same as you, Freddie. Benny Hunt and Adam Reynolds, in their prime, they would have been 9s.
Yeah.
I've just got them as
Without
8
a
at the
doubt.
moment, and Billy a 7.
Well, the team everyone's looking at, especially with the key injuries, is the Roosters. Now, I've got Teddy at 9, Sandon Smith at 6, very start of his career, Chad Townsend at 7, Connor Watson at 7. One thing with Chad Townsend, he's coming to the end, we can see that.
Yeah.
You can sort of flip between 6 and 7. So it paints a picture of not much experience.
Yeah, well, on top of all the quality that they've lost, I think the only top-line spine player in this group is James Tedesco. The rest do a great job. Chad Townsend's a premiership-winning halfback, but James Tedesco, he's the one that really stands out for me.
You worry about him, Freddie, this year?
I'm worried if James Tedesco gets hurt. He does so much work and sometimes overdoes it. Sometimes will overcook his role. I love when he actually gets to like 2nd and 3rd receiver, not 1st receiver. I think he's 95 kilo, explosive, running 2 and 3 out instead of necessarily always around the middle.
You spoke about that. Sometimes Teddy, if you haven't got that dominant voice, he can overplay his hand.
Yeah.
Are you worried that's going to happen this year?
Yeah, definitely. That's where Chad's got to stand up. Chad coming off what he did at the back end of last year, they pretty much just put him to reserve grade. I didn't really watch much of the trial matches. So the start of the season is going to be very important that he sort of says, well, I'm the man, I'm going to take control.
Yeah, we both agree that, or all agree they may struggle, the Roosters. The other team that may struggle is the Rabbitohs. Now, I haven't got Latrell in there because he's going to be out for a fair chunk. I've got Jai Gray 6, Cody an 8, Lewis Dodd a 6, and Mumbazelis a 6.
Lots of 6s.
Yeah. Identical. I'm identical to you, Joey. Lewis Dodd coming from the
Unknown.
Super League.
Great unknown.
A lot of unknown about there, and spoke earlier in the program about how he has had some success over there, but it's a completely different ball game. Like I watched some of his highlights or his vision, and he's great ball playing, as I said, in that Super League competition. But they were running, his ball runners were running through holes.
Yeah.
the size of Sydney Head, so he's just not going to have that luxury here in the NRL. So it's a big challenge for the young man to come out and steer this team around the park.
Well, the next one, the Tigers, everyone's excited about. I've got Buller a 7, Lachlan Galvin a 7, Jerome 8, Appy 8. So you look at that, it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
For forwards to do the job.
I've rated Galvin an 8 there. Obviously, he's gone 7. I just think he's a player and a half. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised the way that they play if Galvin plays more an on-ball role like a halfback and Luai jumps into that 6 role. They may still have those same numbers, 7 and 6 on their backs, but I wouldn't be surprised if they play that natural part of the game where Galvin is on the ball, getting the ball more than Jerome Luai.
Be interesting. Lockie played a lot of it last year, all on the left. And he's a right
He
footer.
can play anywhere.
No, I know, but he's a right footer. It'll suit him better.
Yeah.
If he goes to the other side and
Yeah.
then Jerome just takes up his normal position on the left. But I think having the hooker and Jerome together it'll change the Tigers. Just their experience, their winners.
And the progression of Buller as well.
Buller.
If he can take his game to the next level,
This next one paints a picture for me. It's the Cronulla Sharks, who we're going to see later in the game, later in the day. I've got Kennedy a 7, Braden Trindle a 7, Nico an 8, and Blake Brayley a 7.
Yeah.
Does that tell you a picture that they haven't got that X factor in the spine?
well, it tells you that they've got improvement.
Like the other teams,
They've got
they've got
improvement.
9s and 10s.
They've still got to get to the level. There's a lot of 7s there. Nico's obviously the player that's been around, played in grand finals, played representative footy. I think the other 3, if they can continue to rise their career and improve, well, that's what's going to take the Sharks forward.
I had Nico and Brayley slightly higher than you guys. I had Nico at 8.5. Well, he's won a Dally M medal. Again, a lot like Reece Walsh, where he has shown that he has got elite qualities about him. But I think, again, it's more about that consistency. And also, Brayley, I guess comparing him to, say, like an Appy or a Harry Grant at that 9 position probably doesn't have the same sort of highlight reel or profile, but I think for the Sharkies, he does a wonderful job. Like, if he's not in that team,
Well, he's
they
never not
do
been.
it much harder
Yeah.
That's
He's
a
played
big
what they've done.
He's played
big
130 odd
rap.
in a row.
All right, let's finish with the Panthers, as we know what they've done over the years. I've got Dylan 9, Blaze a 6, Nathan obviously a 10, Mitch Kenny a 7. But we're not looking at Isaiah Yeo would be a 9 or a 10. What do you guys think?
5'8".
Pretty much all
Well, Cam's
similar.
obviously marking him off himself. 10. He's giving him a 9.5. I don't know what more he has to do, but he's a player, isn't he?
Why
He's the only 10
why
I've
haven't you got
given.
Nathan at a 10?
Yeah, well, I actually added the entire sort of rating system of all the players. I actually didn't give a single 10 out of any of the players that we're talking about. Nathan Cleary got my highest rating of 9.5, and I judged it off looking at the guys that I would give a 10 that I played against or played with. Guys like, say, Joey, he's a 10, Cooper Cronk, Jonathan Thurston. I just think Nathan, he's got just that tiny little bit to go where, say, he dominates an Origin series, a bit more international football. He hasn't really had that opportunity. He's most certainly conquered this NRL competition. Have a look at the results, with the Penrith Panthers over the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay, boys, thanks for your time. We all think Storm's going to be hard to beat.
Yep.